Hello, my loves. Welcome to the With Love from Liv show. My name is Liv, and I love that you are here. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. And for this episode, I have a special treat. I am joined by my client named Sydney Olson. She and I have been working together for a few months, and about 3 months into our one-on-one, she started dating someone who was someone that she had told me, this is kind of what I'm looking for. And she let herself lean into what she believed that she could have. And from that mentality, she has also started a new business. So her story is pretty incredible, and I am going to let her tell it. But just some of the highlights from her are that she has 2 little girls. She has a diverse background and loves helping people. That has been extremely evident in the time that I have gotten to know her. She has a beautiful and amazing support system who has helped her to see her worth. And through that, she wants to now provide that to other people. So one of the most beautiful aspects of Sydney's story, and then I'll let her kind of tell it, is that she is divorced. She's been divorced twice. And through those experiences, she has actually come closer to her sense of self-worth, to her relationship with Christ. And her story is so, so beautiful in what she has gone through and where she is now, what she wants to do with that. So, Sydney, tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what you're doing now.
Yeah, so that was a pretty good introduction. Sorry, my internet cut out for a minute there. But yeah, so I have been divorced 2 times, which is awesome. It has been really good for me, and it's helped me grow a ton. So I'm actually grateful for both of those experiences. I have 2 daughters, and they're amazing too. Yes, I have been dating someone for the past little while. And I've known for a super long time that I wanted to give back and help people out, but I didn't know exactly what that would look like. And it's been awesome working with Liv because I've been able to find out what that can look like for me and exactly how far I can push myself. It's still really new and nerve-wracking, and I'm sharing my new business page with everybody today. So it's something that I've been just really slow to pick up on a little bit and nervous to share, but I'm super excited. So I'm going to start a post-divorce dating coach business so that I can help people with the unique experiences that I've gone through, to give them some insight into how they can build a better life and not let that hold them back from dating and having the future that they want, because it absolutely doesn't have to. It's been really exciting with the people that I've shared my idea with one-on-one. Everyone's been super excited, and everyone's been like, oh my gosh, I know someone, or I know a few people who could really benefit from that. I don't know how to help them as a friend because I haven't been through it before. So even though those experiences weren't something that I would have chosen to go through, I've tried to use them as a way that I can give back and help other people, and also move myself forward too, because I don't want it to be oh, boohoo, I went through something hard and now that's it for me,
Yeah, that's very beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for those who may be listening to this and who may also be divorced or may be going through a hard time, as of course you would know, my audience is singles for the most part. And what would you share with them has been the shift for you from, okay, here's where I've been, and there's of course a lot of, I think, unnecessary stigma around being a certain age and being single in the church, as well as being divorced, and some things that are very much a part of so many people's lives. And you're this really beautiful, shining example of not feeding into the kind of judgment around it or the meaning that other people have assigned. So what would you tell someone who is where you were, who's kind of feeling that pressure or that frustration that, they maybe didn't have the perfect BYU marriage story, and, they're feeling either frustrated that they're still single, frustrated by what their past has been, or are otherwise just kind of looking to make a change?
Yeah. So, I mean, those thoughts still kind of can creep up in my mind. I think everyone has moments where that stuff pops up, a thought that's like, oh, you're not good enough, or but you've been through all of that. And to me, I don't know, I've kind of just looked at everything that I've been through as what am I supposed to learn from this? Obviously, when you're in the middle of it, it's harder to think of it like that because it's your whole life and you're wrapped up in it. It's really difficult. But I just appreciate being able to look back on it and see how much support that I had. And that's what I want to give to people, especially if they don't have that from close family or friends, you've been a great support to me and I want to pass that on to other people. And I just think that there's no reason that anything like that should hold you back, because everyone goes through different experiences to learn what they need to learn so that we can move on from this life and get all the experience and all the knowledge and tools that we need. And so, I mean, obviously I wouldn't have chosen to be divorced twice and be a single mom to 2 kids, but if I can use that as a way to help people, then it's totally worth it. And I'm happy to know Christ doesn't look at those things and he doesn't badger you. He doesn't say, well, you're less than because of that. It's more well, I gave you that opportunity to learn something, now what are you going to do with it? So I've tried to look at it as in that context instead of a way to let myself just as a way to hold myself back. So that's kind of where.
100%. No, that's so, so beautiful. And where do you think that understanding came in to serve you in this way? Because it's true that a lot of people would see something like being divorced or, whatever their experience has been, not being able to get married and they're in their 40s, or, all kinds of things. And where do you think that shift kind of happened for you, where you could say, okay, guess what? This is my life experience and this is just what has happened. And I choose what to do now. I choose how to move forward. And a little bit, if you're willing to share, about your decision to lean on the Savior.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different parts to that. Hopefully I can touch on all of them. But the biggest thing for me was just the understanding that Christ doesn't give us these difficulties to be shame on you or to make us feel bad or anything, it's been interesting for me because I've thought before I started on this journey, just there's so many people who you see that go through the same types of trials over and over again. And it's well, you're not going to be able to move out of that pattern and outgrow that until you learn what you need to do from that and learn how that's affecting your life, And
I think I've heard that somewhere.
I'm sure you have. But yeah, it's I just kind of looked at my own life okay, my marriages weren't the same. It wasn't the same thing that happened in both of them, but to an extent I was the same person and I had the same things that I needed to work through. And that's helped me working with you specifically, because it's taking responsibility for that and understanding, if I don't want that in the future, what do I need to change and how can I create something different? But as far as leaning on Christ for that, there was a lot of different things. one thing that a family member told me after my first divorce, like I wasn't active in the church for a little while, and I was like, well, I just don't know if I want to go back because I feel judged there. It's hard. Like I don't want the stigma. I don't want to put myself in that situation. And he just said to me, well, people are going to judge you no matter what you do. And it's really your relationship with Christ that matters. And that's what you're there for. And so that's kind of what I've tried to see in everything that I'm doing, is to like keep the eternal perspective. Just remember that like it's not about anyone else. It's not about anyone else's journey. It's just mine. And I'm still always going to be learning, always going to be like soaking up as much information as I can. But it feels good to be in a better like headspace where I can see those situations that I had objectively and use them to like learn and not go through that same thing again.
No, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that. Because I think that that's truly one of the major purposes of the atonement and of our ability for creation in this life is just as Jesus turned water into wine. That was a very physical thing that he did in changing one substance into another. And that's what the gift of the atonement does for us, is that it presents us with, okay, here's your circumstances. What are you going to do with them now? And a lot of people, it's very, very hard for them to take ownership of that, because it's hard to say, oh, well, everything is your fault. And that's not necessarily true. And I know that a lot of people think that that's what taking responsibility has to mean. And so then that prevents them from taking an experience that was hard, was horrible, was not what they wanted, and turning it into something that is beautiful, something that adds value to their life, and something that positively impacts other people. And I think that you, just in who you are and also in your business, if you haven't had a chance to check out Sydney's posts, we'll talk about where you can find her, but they're beautiful little testaments of just who she chooses to be now. And I think that example and that story is so powerful for people who do feel that pressure of, like, this is my past and no one's going to accept me for it. So for those people, especially, I think it's important to touch on the fact that most singles, by the time that they reach 30, so by the time that it's mid-singles ward era, most of them will leave the church. That's just statistically what happens. What advice or guidance would you want to offer those people?
Just part of what you said was like, it's a big community of people, and instead of kind of banding together and finding like-minded people are just leaving and going off on their own. And that's why a big thing for me has just been to keep the eternal perspective on everything too, because it was hard to go back to the church. If you've left the church, it's hard to come back. I get it. If you haven't left the church, but you've thought about it, it's probably still hard to be there. When you're single, it's especially hard, because the mid-singles wards, they're very awkward. It's not a super fun place, but there's lots of places where you can meet people, and there's places where you can connect with people who are in the same situation as you and find strength from other people. And I think just remembering what's important to you will make a big difference, because it might be awkward right now, but if your goal is still to get married in the temple or eventually to have that eternal family, I think it's important to look at what steps are going to get you there. Because if you're making decisions that are totally contrary to where you want to end up, you're not going to get there, because you're not setting yourself up for that.
Yeah, 100%. And I understand that that's difficult both to say and to hear. And of course, everybody has to decide what's going to be the best option for them. But I do feel as a coach, and having attended the mid-singles ward with my husband when we were first dating, I actually started going to his ward with him more than my YSA ward. And it felt like there was this almost like, either one thing happened for you or else you don't get to have it. And that's kind of the last little area I would love for you to touch on if you're comfortable sharing, because there are a lot of people who feel like, well, I missed my chance because I didn't get married in my 20s. That's it for me. I don't get to have it. I don't get to get married. And they feel so defeated and whether they're still going to church or they're not, I think it really, a lot of it is just coming back to that feeling of, well, I missed my chance and now I don't get to have that chance. What would you share with them?
Right. So my take is probably a little bit different on that because I got married the first time really young. But my experience with that came after my first divorce. I felt like, well, I got married and it didn't work out. And what was I, 23 or 24? I guess now I'm going to be single forever. And that was really awful to go through. And there was a lot of things that led up to me shifting my perspective on that. And obviously it's done a 180, which is fantastic because no one wants to live in that space. But I don't know. I think I'm a testament to you just get as many chances as you're willing to take. And if it's something that you want, then it's something that you're going to put the effort into. And I've even had guys that I've gone on dates with in the last couple of years that have been like, well, why are you even like trying again after you've been married twice? Like you've had the family. I don't understand what you want out of it. But it's just, to me, I want something that's eternal, and I want something that's going to bring me all of the things that I know God's intended for me. And since I want to get married again, I know that's what he wants for me also. And I know that's something that you touch on a lot. So I don't think that it has to happen by a certain age. I don't think that if you've been married even multiple times, that's it for you. So I hope that people will put themselves out there more and try and give themselves a beautiful life and build something that they're happy about in their life, because everyone deserves that.
Yeah, absolutely. So wonderfully said. Thank you for sharing that. And speaking of, where can people get in contact with you if they want some support from someone who's been there? Because that's, something that I love to support my clients. And I do work with a lot of divorced singles, but it is something that I don't have experience with. And I think that that's a really unique and incredible dynamic that you bring. So where can they find you?
So right now I just have an Instagram set up, and the name of the page is inbloom_coach. So if you want to find me on Instagram, I'll be there, and I'll set up more social media pages and more contact methods soon, but that's what I have set up so far. And I'm super excited to go on this journey.
Perfect. And is it okay for them to follow you on there and send you a DM?
Absolutely. That'd be great.
Okay, beautiful. Then we will go ahead and drop that handle in the show notes just in case, so that nobody misses you. And I am going to put you on the spot a little bit. You ready?
Sure, let's go for it.
Okay, before we hop off, I have seen you grow and blossom in so many beautiful ways over the last several months. And I would love if you could share, what are your 3 favorite things about yourself?
Oh dear. Well, I like that I can connect with people fairly easily. That's always been a goal of mine. I've always had it's just been easy for me to connect with people. And since I have a broad range of life experience as an adult, then I can relate to what people have gone through a lot too. So I like that about myself. I'm very like understanding of people, and I give a lot to people, and I've had to kind of rein that in a little bit, but I do appreciate that about myself also. And I appreciate also that I can kind of see the big picture in things. I still get frustrated with little things like everybody else does, but my perspective is usually like more broad and more long term. And especially the last few months, I've learned how to like really hone in on that and understand how that is what I'm concerned about. And the little day-to-day irritations don't matter so much when you're working on bigger things than that. So that's what I would say.
Love it. Thank you so much. Sydney is truly such a wonderful human to connect with. I can echo everything she said. Those are definitely some of her best traits and qualities. It has been such a joy and a privilege to be able to work with her. And if that is something that you are interested in doing, make sure you go give her a follow, make sure that you send her a message, and know that you get to choose how life goes for you. And I just want to repeat this quote that you said that was so good, where you said, you get as many chances as you're willing to take. Oh my gosh, that is the truest thing. Go take chances, give yourself more opportunities. Don't let what has happened continue to burden you, continue to direct how things go for you now. You can make a beautiful life no matter where you've been. I love you, and I will talk to you later.
Bye.